The following podcast contains spoilers for The Rental. You have been warned!
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of KFR News Radio. This is your host, Glen Button, along with your host, Miguel, my ghost out.
That's me.
Oh, I already forgot to do something.
Oh no, he's floating away. Help.
And I'm floating back.
And there he is. How you doing?
I am not bad. I'm a little late to the podcast.
Just a little bit.
Normally we record these bad boys at 9, and I was like, maybe I'll take a quick nap at like 6. You know, work was a little, not too rough, but it was just enough to where I was a sleepy boy. And my ass was asleep. I'm talking, I'm sweating my ass off. I'm drowning in the temperatures right now. But hey, other than that, I'm absolutely vibing.
Yeah. I stopped taking naps because I hate waking up, so I decided to stop making myself wake up twice. Because that's just two things that I hate in the day. And so now I only have one thing I hate in the day.
So normally they like, my naps don't last like an hour or less.
Yeah.
Like my quick version of a nap, sadly, is like 2 hours. Mm-hmm. So like I thought I had a window of time. Like, fuck yeah, I got 3 hours. Why not? No, I was ready for the eternal death, honestly. Yeah, apparently, I don't know.
Yep. You gotta love that eternal death.
But Mike, I watched a movie.
Ooh, I know for a fact you watched a movie because you talked to me about it briefly.
Yes,
but something
sir.
tells me it's not any of the two that you're supposed to watch.
It's not. I was gonna watch one today, but I was like, man, like quick nap, I'll fucking knock that out real quick. And then I knocked myself out real quick. But
Yep.
Obviously we watched our Thursday movie, and that was Shazam! Fury of the Gods.
Mm-hmm.
We had some thoughts about that.
Yeah.
And they're on a video, so think about it. Maybe you should watch it. Mm-hmm. And then from there, I was like, I'm a little bored. I don't feel like playing any video games. So I kicked up a little movie without being told to watch one. And it was called The Sting, and it had Paul Newman, Robert Redford, and a bunch of other people in it.
Yes.
It's actually like a great movie. It was for the most part. Now there was a problem, at least with the first half of the movie, where it was just out of focus most of the time. Mm-hmm. Like it would just be like a normal standard medium shot of Robert Redford or Paul Newman, and like it would be like focused on like their ear and like the background, but not their actual face. But other than that, it was a good heist movie. I feel like it could have been a little bit better, maybe like a little more focused on Paul Newman's character, but I guess that would take away from the mystery of, is Paul Newman doing this for himself, or is are they in on it? But I thought it was good. I thought it was fantastical in ways. It felt like a little Italian Job, but only with two main people that they focused on. They didn't focus on too many others. But I thought it was good. And then, of course, The Rental, which we shall get into in just a moment when you're done dying.
I was trying to hold that in so much.
You did good.
I watched 13 movies, getting back to my normal self. First one I watched is Stillwater, a movie with Matt Damon and, what's her name? Abigail Breslin.
Yes.
It's based very loosely on the Amanda Knox story. Kind of made a lot of headlines because she's tired of people taking her story without her permission. Fair enough. I'm not going to say that she's wrong for that, because that would probably bother me too. But essentially, this father who's from Oklahoma and kind of like a roughneck, hard-working man, not really what you would consider cultured, goes to Paris to try to help get his daughter. Not Paris, sorry, it's Marseille, in France, trying to help his daughter get out of prison, who's in there for the murder of her roommate, which she says she's innocent of. It's a fine movie, better than I thought it was going to be. The best part about this, it's a nice little detail. So he's like, hardworking man, not someone that would probably be open to many cultural things. So anytime he gets food in France, he gets Subway. Which is absolutely what would happen for someone like that. So yeah. I thought that was a nice little detail. They didn't like point it out or anything. It's just anytime he was walking with food, it was from Subway. So yeah, I thought that was a nice little touch. But fine movie overall. Nothing crazy to write home about, but better than I thought it was going to be. Then with my boy, my baby child, I rewatched Wolfwalkers because the last time I watched it, he was but a baby child,
a small lad.
Yeah, I think he was only 6 months old when we last watched it. And he absolutely loved it this time around. He was like laughing and getting excited whenever there's wolves on the screen and everything. Mm-hmm. Which is great because I'm so tired of watching Encanto.
I don't blame you.
We watch Encanto so much, I stopped marking every time I watch it, and so just assume that I watch it at least once a week. So yeah. I'm glad to watch any other kids movie than Encanto. I don't hate Encanto. I'm just tired of seeing it.
That was the Goofy movie for my mother.
Yeah, I mean, Goofy movie is a fucking classic, and your mother's lucky that that's what she got to watch.
Yep.
Anyway, so that's Wolfwalkers. Then I watched a new series. Called History of the World Part 2. Of course, it is based off of Mel Brooks' History of the World Part 1. Spin-off of that, sequel of that, if you will, but it's not a movie, it's a series. Mm-hmm. So it's essentially like comedic actors today kind of doing the same thing that he did for History of the World Part 1 in 1981. Telling stories loosely based off of history, but going absolutely crazy bonkers. Less historically accurate, of course, than Drunk History. That's probably more historically accurate than this. Mm-hmm. But it's fun. It's getting kind of ripped apart on Letterboxd, and I don't want to sound old, but I think it's
followed up by something sounding old.
Well, no, I think it's because Gen Z doesn't understand Mel Brooks.
Yeah,
like Mel Brooks, to someone who doesn't know better, Mel Brooks probably sounds offensive, but he's satirical about everything. Like Blazing Saddles, everyone says they couldn't make that today. They're right in a certain way, but it's not saying anything bad. It's just pointing out how stupid racism is. Yeah. With History of the World, it does have some, cheeky parts, if you will. And I think a lot of Gen Zers probably don't quite understand that, but it's all in fun. He's a man who is known for pushing the envelope on stuff, and this is no different. He had a very minimal part in it. He was like the narrator and I think producer. But yeah, I thought it was really fun. Highly suggest people check it out. I laughed a lot every single episode. Then watched Shazam! Fury of the Gods. We have a review for that on the YouTube, as Glen said previously. Mm-hmm. Then I rewatched History of the World Part 1 because I watched History of the World Part 2, and I was like, you know what? I haven't seen History of the World Part 1 in probably about 10 years, so I rewatched History of the World Part 1. Still great. Still Mel Brooksy. Still, things
That's a cute little name for him, too.
What, Mel Brooksy?
Mel Brooksy?
Yeah. Then with my boy, my baby child, we watched George of the Jungle because Brendan Fraser had just recently become an Academy Award-winning actor. Mm-hmm. And I loved George of the Jungle as a kid, so I wanted to rewatch it. And honestly, better than I thought it would be, like going back. Sometimes it's a little risky going back to watch your favorite movies as a kid.
Yeah.
It is very, meta.
Yeah.
Like the narrator in it is like saying a bunch of things, like leading up to things that it's hard to explain, but it's very meta and knows it's a movie throughout the entire movie, and it's just kind of fun. A lot of fourth wall breaks. Mm-hmm. Brendan Fraser is great, of course. Leslie Mann is I don't want to say gorgeous, but she's gorgeous. She's
gorgeous
great
in this.
She's got a great personality in this in that movie, and I really enjoyed rewatching it. Thomas Hayden Church, he's great as usual. He's an underutilized actor, underappreciated actor. Mm-hmm. Then I watched The Rental. We'll get into that in a minute. Then I went to the Colonial Theater in Phoenixville and saw The Quiet Girl. It was one of the films that was up for Best International Feature with All Quiet on the Western Front this year. It is from Ireland. it has the Irish language as the primary language in it, not English. It's the Irish language.
Yes.
And it, goddamn, talk about a heartbreaking but feel good movie at the same time.
I don't even think I heard of it.
It's fantastic. It's about this little girl who grows up. She's like the black sheep of a big Catholic family that has like 5 kids or whatever. And her mom, like, you know, she's not a troublemaker, but like she's harder to take care of because she is neglected. So she's got like a lot of issues with her. Like she's quiet and kind of wanders off a lot. So because her mom is pregnant with like a 6th sibling or whatever, I don't know the exact count, but it's a lot. They send her to a cousin who watches over her. And I tell you, the thing that I love about movies nowadays that I feel like was missing from the past 90 or so, whatever years, there are a lot of movies focusing on human kindness lately. And I fucking love it because it's something that like shocks me every time I see it, where I'm just like, man, these people are really nice. You're just expecting something bad to happen the entire time. And it's not that bad things don't happen, but it's very real. And it's not like people being malicious or anything. It's just like misunderstandings or you know, mistakes made and everything.
Yeah.
And just I love seeing movies about kindness, and I feel like that was missing from film for a very long time, and I'm glad to see that it's all coming back to that.
Yeah, I haven't even heard of this movie. Looking at
great.
it now.
I highly suggest it. It's a beautiful movie. I don't want to give too much away, but let's just say there is a part with a cookie that is enough to make a grown man cry.
About to cry my ass off with that cookie.
But yeah, that's The Quiet Girl. Highly, highly recommend that. Then I continued on with my Ingmar Bergman collection and watched a film called Shame. It is about this couple who lives on an island in... I don't know if it's supposed to be Sweden, but essentially it's like this civil war going on that because they're on this island, they're not expecting to be a part of. But then, like, the fighting starts happening on their island, and things go to shit and everything. It's a fantastic movie about, like, the civilian cost of war and everything. It's called Shame. So I highly suggest people check that out. 1968 with Max von Sydow and Liv Ullmann, I believe is her last name. I've watched, like, 9 of her movies this year, so I don't know why I can't remember her last name, but I'm pretty sure it's Liv Ullmann. But yeah, highly suggest people check it out. Then I watched a film called A Field in England, a film by, I believe his name's Ben Whitley. This is essentially just a bunch of guys wandering around a field trying to find treasure, and one of them's like the devil or something. It's very weird.
Naturally, I think we should start doing that.
Yeah, it's very weird. Very low budget. I don't hate it, but it's a little too... I don't know. The pacing is all off. It's slow to a fault. Whereas, like, I feel like if it was a 45-minute short film, it would have been great. But it just drags on a little too long. Then I went to the Regal Mystery Movie of March, which was on the 20th. And it was that movie Paint with Owen Wilson that is not based off of what's his name, Ben Ross.
Bob Ross?
Bob Ross. I don't know why I thought Ben. It's not based off of Bob Ross, but his hair and everything and the way he talks about painting is inspired by Bob Ross. But yeah, it's a completely different film. Very dry humor throughout. It's kind of like if Bob Ross had a big ego, that this movie would be what it was.
Okay.
It's a fun movie. You know, I didn't love it. I didn't hate it, but I enjoyed watching it. So yeah, that's Paint for when that comes out. Then continuing Ingmar Bergman's collection, I watched The Passion of Anna, which is a movie about a divorced man and a widow, and the widow is got some mental trauma or, you know, she's been through a lot, and it's, they start living together, and you see that like someone on the island is starting to kill animals, and it might be her, might not be her, you don't know.
Fucking rat bastards.
Yeah, but fantastic film. One of the funniest endings in the world. It's it's not funny. It's only funny if you speak English, because the Swedish word for the end is slut, which is spelled slut.
Yeah.
So anytime you watch a Swedish film that has the end at the end, it just says slut, which, takes you out of it immediately.
Just really makes you feel like you're like, oh, wow, maybe I shouldn't have watched their movie if you're going to call me that.
Yeah. So I hate that it makes me laugh every time I see it, because I'm an immature motherfucker. But, but great film, even with that in it. I'm not making fun of the Swedish language. My mother's side of the family is Swedish. So, I have a soft spot in my heart for Sweden.
Make fun of yourself like
but
that.
But it's slut. It's the word slut. It's funny when it's not being used to hurt someone.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, that's Passion of Anna. And then the last thing I watched was a documentary by Ingmar Bergman called Faro Document. Faro is the island that a lot of his movies take place on, and that he wrote a lot of his movies on. He just was kind of like inspired by the island. So he made a documentary about it, and how about the state at the time of the Swedish government was hurting the residents of that island. Really interesting documentary, and suggest people check that out if they get a chance. That's all I watched. Sorry it took so long, but we do have one bit of sad news before continue on to the rental. Of course, by the time this comes out, this will be old news, but Lance Reddick unfortunately passed away on, I believe it was the 17th of March, St. Patrick's Day. He was only 60 years old. John Wick 4 is coming out, and will probably be out by the time this comes out. Yeah. And I absolutely loved him as an actor. I thought anytime he was on screen, I got excited, because he just like grabbed your attention.
Yep.
And he's also got such a great sense of humor too. Like, he always did things that like other actors who take themselves too seriously wouldn't do.
Yeah, he was on Funny or Die. He was on Eric Andre show.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah.
And he was a pretty big gamer. He was in the game Destiny, and I guess apparently like the night before he died, he like beat their new DLC. Like, most likely like was playing the new DLC and beat it. So, and he was in the game, and he was very passionate about the game.
Yeah, that's always cool to be.
He died playing it, well, at least the night before he died.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And of course, there's been lots of fans paying tribute to him. Players of Destiny have been going to where his character is and just kind of having like moments of silence and saluting him and everything. It's something that if you told people 20 years ago would have seemed weird, but now it's just kind of sweet that that's happening. A nice way to pay tribute to someone you're a fan of. Of course, my favorite role of his was as Christian DeVille in the Comedy Central series Corporate, which he played this evil CEO that was just kind of hilarious. If people haven't seen Corporate, I highly suggest that. And of course, he was in. I forget if it's Sharon or Charon or Charon. It's CHARN RON. I don't know how to pronounce that because I'm stupid. But yeah, on the John Wick series. So yeah, he will be missed, and great loss of talent for the world.
An absolute legend.
Absolutely. But yes, with that in mind, I guess we shall move on to the rental.
Charlie! Tell me that's not a camera.
Get through the night. We leave first thing in the morning. What's going on?
I don't know.
This will be over soon, I promise.
This will never be over.
Two couples rent a vacation home for what should be a celebrity. Oh, wow. Oh, my God. Celebratory weekend getaway.
You were close.
I'm going to blame that on me being tired. Directed by Dave Franco, also written by Dave Franco, Joe Swanberg, Mike Dembski. It stars Dan Stevens, Alison Brie, Sheila Vand, and our boy, Jeremy Allen White.
I thought you were going to say our Lord Jesus for a second.
Good old Lord Jesus, Jeremy Allen White.
Toby Huss is also in there. You know, shout out to Toby Huss, one of the more famous character actors. He's in it. And also, of course, the confetti cop from Everything Everywhere All at Once, Anthony Molinari. He's in it as well. Sheila Vand, I found this out after I watched it. We have reviewed 4 of her movies on this podcast. We talked about We the Animals, of course, which is on the KFR shelf. Excuse me while I go through this. Prospect, which is on the shelf. There's 2 others I know. God damn. Why didn't I write them down? Did I write them down?
I don't know. Did you write them down?
I did not, because
That is sad.
Oh, Triple Frontier. We talked about that. Maybe it was only 4, including the rental. So this is the 4th of the ones that we've seen of her. I know at least 2 of those have made the shelf. We'll find out if a 3rd does or if a 4th one does, because I don't remember if Triple Frontier did or not.
Guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I just thought that was interesting because, you know, Dan Stevens, of course, is an apostle, which I talk about every single every week. But yeah, just a little fun fact. My very first thought that I had when watching this, when they introduced the dog Reggie, played by the lovely, incomparable Chunk.
Mm-hmm.
That's such a great name.
Chunk did so good.
Yeah, he did. He was such a good boy or girl. I don't know if they ever mentioned if it's a boy or girl, but such a good dog. But I said, if the dog fucking dies, ... And that was my very first note. And for a while, we thought that he might have.
Yeah, it was really scary, and it was nice to see that he popped up at the end.
I did not give a shit about any of these human characters, but goddamn,
my God, no!
You gotta save Reggie. You gotta save Reggie.
They didn't even get one good close up with Reggie, and I was very sad about it. I at least
Dave
wanted
Franco.
to act like I was going to pet my
Dave
screen.
Franco, here's some directing advice. If you have a dog in the scene, you gotta do a clouse up.
You gotta. I want to see that chunky face.
Yeah. Show us that chunk. No, but you know, this movie I liked for the most part until the end. We can get into that later. But I really kind of liked the slow pace throughout the majority of this. There are some parts where it was kind of annoying, but it kind of started to pay off. And then in the end, it just kind of ruined it for me, which I can talk about more in a minute. But yeah, so this movie, like, it was going really, really high up on my my enjoyment, and then it just plummeted towards the end. And that was really the biggest issue I had with it, is that I was enjoying it, and then it just no, thank you.
Yeah. Same here. For a good portion, I was just like, yeah, this isn't bad in any way, but you know, it could be forgettable. But I'm sitting there watching it, I'm like, okay, it's not bad. And then the ending happened, and I was like, well, that kind of ruined the whole thing, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
I don't know what the process in the writing there was, but I wasn't a fan of how they went through with it. So this is a movie that I had you pick out a number, and you
stole my formula.
I did. I had a bunch. I'm like, I could pick any one of these today, but I'm indecisive as fuck. And this one came up. There's no real reason for it. It was just on Netflix, and I thought it looked at least decent enough to give it a whirl. A nice little kind of horror movie that we haven't really watched in a while, I feel like.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty small cast. And we love Jeremy Allen White.
We do.
He's great.
I love everyone involved in this movie.
But he was kind of fucking annoying in this.
Yeah.
Him and his girlfriend.
Yeah. Everyone was kind of annoying in this. The whole movie is just filled with tropes, which was kind of my biggest problem. Even when I was enjoying it, I was like, man, that's a trope. Yeah. Like, of course, first of all, they have like Toby Huss's character, who's like the creepy racist dude. That's in every horror movie. It's a little different because they're in his property throughout the film. Yeah, so I was like willing to give that a pass.
Yeah.
And also back in the day, might still even be a thing. There was like the controversy of Airbnb hosts denying people with ethnic names.
Yeah.
So there was that bit of realism, but then like it has all the stupid tropes like Dave Stevens and Sheila Vann's character having an affair while they're
Put some respect on his name, Dan Stevens.
Dan Stevens. I know a Dave Stevens. That's why I said Dave Stevens. Dan Stevens and Sheila Vann, they have like an affair, and when their spouses are asleep. First of all, I don't care the amount of drugs you fucking do. Dude, having an affair is the dumbest thing, especially if you don't if you actually still care about your spouse. It's one thing if you're like, oh, I don't care about him anymore. First of all, you should just divorce him or leave him or whatever before doing anything, because it's just the kind thing to do. But
You would think.
If you do like them like they seem to like their spouses, just don't.
Or specifically, don't do it while they're 15 feet away from you.
Yeah. Hey, and there's this little thing called masturbation. It's a hell of a thing. You get most of the sensations from sex, but by yourself, without
Nice little piece of serotonin in your hand.
without breaking any bonds or anything. So it was just I don't know. It's just really it just added to the annoyance of their characters, where it just made them the worst. Like and even to the point where when they were like, I normally don't have a problem with people doing drugs in general. Like if you want to do drugs, I don't drink or do drugs or anything. It's just my choice. I don't like things that change the way I feel or think. And when they started doing drugs, I was like, oh God, another trope, just them doing drugs. And it's just it made them even more annoying than they were. And of course that led to the affair, which made them even more annoying. And they're like, oh, how are we going to hold? It's just filled with so many tropes that, and it'd be a shock for anyone listening to me right now to know that I did enjoy this movie up until the last 20 minutes.
What was really annoying about it was now Jeremy Allen White's character has a past from what I can remember. I don't remember what the exact past was.
He was in jail. They said that much.
He's in jail for something. It feels like he's supposed to play like a drug addict in this. I don't think they actually... I just don't recall. But it feels like he was maybe like a drug addict or something. And then his sister-in-law whips out drugs. I'm like, I feel like it's not a good idea.
Judging by how he just like whooped Toby Huss's ass with no real reason other than he saw him in a confrontation with Sheila, makes me think that maybe he beat someone up in a bar or something.
Maybe just anger issues.
Yeah, definitely anger issues, because those were like, if someone is a drug addict or caught with drugs, they're more likely to not. Actually, I haven't. I'm saying that without knowing. If it were me, I'd be more likely to not want to do drugs again. But I'm a rational human being. But it's also easy saying that when I don't do drugs in the first place. So I don't know. I don't fucking know. Don't listen to me. But yeah, I kind of took it as him. He had beat someone up in the past, and that's when it became a problem.
I also knew immediately that I would not like Jeremy Allen White's character because he says bro a lot in the first 20 minutes.
Oh yeah.
And a lot is in more than once. He says
you gotta.
Now with him and the bear, he's like, hey cousin. I was fully ready for him to say cousin at some point in this, but this was annoying because he was bro. Yeah. And I was like, shut the fuck up. Nobody says bro.
Yeah. Yeah, he was kind of annoying. The least annoying person was probably Alison Brie.
Yes.
She just felt like a mom the entire time. Like it's just the way she talks too. The way she talks, it just feels like a mom talking. And I don't know why. I couldn't tell you why. But
she was the most normal person in this whole movie.
Yeah, she wanted to do drugs, but she wanted to do them when she was ready to do them. And she was the most responsible out of them all. She was the only sane one when Jeremy Allen White actually beat up Taylor. who, by the way, it was completely obvious from the get-go that Taylor was not going to be the issue. That's another horror trope where it's like the first person they show is not the bad guy. So I just was on Alison Brie's side the entire time. I'm like, as much as you love your brother, Dan Stevens, he should go to jail.
Yes.
Like, even if it was the strange man that killed him, Jeremy Allen White certainly didn't help by beating the shit out of him.
No,
so he should go to jail for at least assault and battery.
Or for saying bro, but I haven't decided that fully yet.
But yeah, and then Alison Brie being the only one saying, like, we need to call the police. I'm like, yes, you should. And if they did, they'd probably all still be alive at that point.
Yeah, like, honestly, Jeremy Allen White, his character, for the most part, was fine, except for the bro thing and obviously beating that man to a pulp.
Yeah.
But Alison Brie and Jeremy's characters were mostly fine. I feel like the Jeremy's character could have had a little more depth, but Dan Stevens and
Oh, Jeremy Allen. Yeah, sorry.
I feel like Dan Stevens and Sheila's characters were just irredeemable.
They were just. I mean, even from the I thought that they were together in the opening shot where she's like clinging all over him. That's not something you do with a business partner. Like,
yeah, or a brother-in-law,
or brother-in-law. Yeah, I mean,
I can get being close, but like they
I
look
don't
like
do
they
that
were
with my
dating.
brother-in-law. That's for sure.
Especially in the beginning, like the very beginning, when they're like, "Oh, this will be perfect for us."
Yeah.
Like, and you're like, "Oh, for those two, I guess they're dating." And then Jeremy's character comes in, and he's like, "Hey, babe."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Ooh."
And that might have been done on purpose to make
Oh
you.
yeah, 100%.
I mean, it probably was done on purpose, but it just didn't work the way I think they thought it was going to work. So yeah, it's just, there's a whole bunch of gaps in logic, and just jumping to conclusions and with things. And one thing, I know we keep knocking on him, but when Jeremy Allen White finds out that Toby Huss's character is dead, and he thinks that he killed him, he said, "How did he die from that?" It's like, how do you become an adult human without knowing that a single punch to the head could kill someone if it's in the right spot and does the right damage?
Yeah, like you got to give it to him at least a little bit, because you're like, what the fuck, man? He was just probably in denial or some shit.
That's true.
Which was fine.
This is the thing that, like, you only see teenagers doing that challenge of punching strangers and then running away because they're too stupid to realize that one single punch can kill someone.
Yeah.
Adults know that. So, mature adults are less willing to fight because they don't want to accidentally kill someone and then go to jail. Or just, live with the guilt of killing someone. So when he said that, I was just like, dude, you are so... I mean, it's kind of on character, so I get that, but it was just added to the annoyance. And again, I legitimately like this movie. I don't know why I'm just shitting on it. Because
the biggest problem is with this movie is that there's so many things not to like about it that it's hard to talk about the things you do like about it. Like, we could try right now. Like, for the most part, everybody was like fine as far as acting goes.
I mean, I feel like they were supposed to annoy you.
Yeah, like it was written to where the characters are supposed to annoy you. And it was supposed to set up for like the ending of where it wasn't Toby Huss's character that is, fucking everybody up. And the problem with that, though, is that they never introduced another character to make you think or like put any mystery into, oh, it wasn't Toby. Maybe it's this other guy or this other person. Maybe like for a little bit, you're like, oh, maybe it's Toby's brother. Maybe Toby's brother is in on it, and
that would have been way more interesting than what it was, which is just a random guy that was going around doing it.
Yep, there was no lead up to like another person being other than Toby's brother, but like he never popped up during the whole thing, and like you see a figure of somebody being around, but you never see a person.
Yeah,
and then it leads up, and it's just some guy who was AirBNB. And he sets up everything, cameras and all this shit. And just these guys are victim to him just wanting to fuck them up.
Yeah, it was really just kind of
There's nothing redeeming about it because there's no, like, there was no mystery for it. You're like, oh, it's just some random dude.
Yeah, which, you know, in real life is terrifying, but in a movie, it's like,
But
it's late. It felt lazy to me.
it is, sadly, it is lazy because they could have added some sort of line. We had this weird renter a couple of months ago. You know, he was kind of giving some weird vibes.
That would have been great. That would have been fantastic. Because, you know, one of the most important rules of writing is setting things up. Like, whenever people talk about a movie that they didn't see the ending coming, chances are, unless you're like a teenager or you don't see a lot of movies to pick up on things, chances are that it's just poorly written. The biggest example I can think of this, I believe, is actually... No, it's not. Never mind. It has Jesse Eisenberg. The movie Now You See Me.
Yeah.
With Mark Ruffalo, Jesse Eisenberg, Woody Harrelson, I think's in it. A whole bunch of people are in it.
Rachel McAdams.
So a lot of the ending of it. Spoiler for Now You See Me if you haven't seen it, but I'm telling you, it's not worth your time. The ending for Now You See Me, you're following these thief magicians the entire time doing these impossible feats, which is dumb in itself, like stopping rain. It'd be more interesting if it was like real illusions, not like stupid shit like stopping rain, which is impossible. But Mark Ruffalo is chasing them. He's an FBI agent who's chasing them. And then they're talking about the entire time, oh, who's this person that's helping us out, blah, 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 blah. And at the end, Mark Ruffalo, who goes way harder than he needs to for his job, and provides no rhyme or reason or anything to hint that he might be the person helping them, ends up being the person helping them. And everyone was like, oh my God, that was such a crazy ending. I didn't see it coming. You didn't see it coming because it was literally impossible for the film. Yeah. Like, within the world of the film, Mark Ruffalo being the person that is helping them was an impossibility. Not an improbability, an impossibility.
Whereas going to another Mark Ruffalo film with Shutter Island, that was a twist you didn't really see coming. With Leo's character, in a way.
Well, I disagree. I kind of saw it coming.
What?
Yeah.
It was louder than I meant it to be, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, but like, good movies will hint at the twist somewhere around the beginning. And this didn't do that. Now You See Me didn't do that. I will fight tooth and nail to anyone who liked that movie. Yeah, you can enjoy the movie, but it's a shitty fucking movie. Sorry, that was a bit harsh. But anyway, so yeah, good movies will give you hints as to what's happening, and they're not trying to trick you. They're trying to like help you guess it along the way. Like, not everything needs to be mind-blowing. Even The Sixth Sense, that was hinted throughout the entire thing, to the point where you watch it, it's so obvious.
Yeah.
But,
So this...
that's what's supposed to happen. It's supposed to be so obvious on the second viewing.
Yeah.
And this just wouldn't be, because it just is a thing that happens. And that makes it very disappointing. It would have at
least done some justice if they at least talked about previous, I guess, tenants, I guess?
Yeah.
Or showed a list of previous tenants.
Yeah.
But like, not talked about them.
If the mansion was open for every single day, and they're like, oh, how is this gorgeous place open for every single day? And then they go there, and the person, instead of him being creepy, was just like, yeah, it's just, you know, there's been a lot of reports lately of people going missing around here. You know, we've had some guests complain that someone had been watching them from like outside, like through the windows and everything. If it hinted at stuff like that, that would be way more interesting than just, oh, it's this random guy that we're not going to show until the last 30 minutes. And that's why it's kind of a cop out. And then even then, if they talked about, if it was the guy's brother, that would have been more interesting than just some random guy. But yeah, there's that.
Yeah,
but it does have good cinematography.
Yeah, the good cinematography, and as far as like watching it, you don't get bored with it.
Yeah,
say, but I mean,
you get disappointed. You get disappointed in the end.
It's disappointing. Like I'm still kind of struggling with a score on it. But for the most part, I didn't hate watching it. But the ending dropped it down from what probably would have been a 3
Yeah,
to a 2.5 probably.
I was a 3 until the last bit, and then I dropped it to a 2. Just because I was very upset that they ruined a movie that I was actually kind of enjoying. And that is the biggest crime of all, of course.
I think the best part about it is that because it was underwhelming, the good news is it's an hour and a half, where it probably could have used like maybe 10 minutes of just developing this character that only just kind of pops up.
Yeah.
Or just finding a way to do something with it. But I mean, luckily it doesn't overstay its welcome.
Yeah.
So that's
it is
nice
short,
at least.
so that's definitely good. But going back to the cinematography, that scene where Alison Brie is broken down and you see the guy in the mask charging her from the window.
I didn't even remember seeing that in the actual movie. I see it in the trailer on IMDb, but I don't remember seeing that at all.
It's a very effective shot. So like the cinematography in this is on point. It's just a lot of the other parts I have issue with, and it ruined what could have been a good movie, unfortunately.
Yeah. Potential. Definitely
Yes.
potential here. But
Yes.
I mean, for a directorial debut, it's
Pretty
not
damn
too bad.
good for a directorial debut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much more I really have to say about it.
Well, guess what? I don't have anything left to say about it.
Okay.
So that does it for our review for The Rental. That brings us to the judgment. As always, it needs to be a unanimous decision whether or not it goes on the KFR shelf with the likes of Apostle, starring Dan Stevens, and Handmaiden, starring not Dan Stevens. And Glenn, this was your pick, so you get to go first. Does The Rental go into the KFR shelf?
Sadly, I do not think it do. For the most part, like I said earlier, it was decent. The ending kind of ruins it for you. I feel like there should have been maybe another character as well to help with it, but I don't know how they would have done that, or at least more screen time with Reggie, because that would have been pretty cool.
Dave Stevens, show some fucking close-ups of the dog, goddamn.
Man, you are not putting respect on his name at all.
Dave Franco. What the fuck am I doing? Dave Franco. Oh my god, I'm tired because I did a nap.
Amen.
Yeah. I would agree. I would say that the ending really kind of ruins it. Even if the ending was good, I don't think it would have made it on. It's just there's a lot wrong with it. But like you said, great for a directorial debut. People should definitely check it out and make their own opinion. But for me, it does not go into the shelf either.
Well, here's another thing that didn't help at all. I just kind of thinking about it. This was like a weekend getaway, and they didn't do fuck all weekend except for do drugs.
Well, if they didn't feel guilty about having an affair, they would have gone on that beautiful hike.
You would have expected some type of activities.
That just goes to show you affairs ruin vacations. So keep it in your pants. Masturbate.
Not in the hot tub.
Yeah, definitely not in the hot tub. That's first of all, especially if it's not your hot tub. But if you want to have any guests in there, don't. Don't. Yeah. So The Rental does not make it on the KFR shelf with the likes of Apostle, starring Dan Stevens and The Handmaiden. That brings us to our assignment for next week. It is Streaming Roulette Week. For those of you who don't know, Streaming Roulette, we spin a very real wheel 3 times that has all the movies that we subscribe to through services and whatnot available on it. It's a very real wheel, the size of Rhode Island. We spin it 3 times and we pick the one that we find the most interest in out of all those. So without any further ado, here comes the first spin. Why is it taking forever? Oh, that was a good spin. Hold on. Let me... I can't. Oh, there we go.
Do it.
Oh, okay. Gyro Dreams of Sushi. Or Gyro Dreams is a documentary. That is going to be on Amazon Prime. A documentary on 85-year-old sushi master Jiro Ono, his renowned Tokyo restaurant, and his relationship with his son and eventual heir, Yoshikazu. Directed by David Gelb, starring Jiro Uno, Yoshikazu Ono, Marishuri... Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Matsuhiro Yamamoto.
This guy looks so
and-
wholesome. I would love to have his sushi.
Yeah. From what I hear, this is a very wholesome documentary. So that's going to be on Amazon Prime. 7.8 out of 10 on IMDb. 77 Metacritic score. The Jiro, I don't know what the J's are pronounced in Japan.
I actually don't know either.
Dreams of Sushi. That is going to be on Amazon Prime. That was our first movie. Here comes spin number 2. Haseen Dilruba.
That is on Netflix.
That's on Netflix. 6.9 out of 10 on IMDb. It looks like it's probably a Bollywood movie or something similar from that region. Under investigation as a suspect in her husband's murder. Ooh. A wife reveals details of their thorny marriage that seem to only further blur the truth. Directed by Vinil Matthew. Written by Kanika Dhillon. Starring, again, I apologize ahead of time, Tapsi Pannu, Vikrant Masi, Harshvardhan Rana, Aditya Srivastav. So that is Haseen Dilruba on Netflix. That is our second option. And here comes the final spin. Tell me who I am.
It's not bad. Everything after 2010 is also on Netflix.
Yeah. 7.6 out of 10. That is also a documentary, it looks like. After losing his memory in an accident, Alex Lewis trusts his twin brother Marcus to tell him about the past, only to discover that he's hiding a dark secret about their childhood. That doesn't seem like a documentary, but it might be.
It's not.
Yeah.
But maybe it's like a documentary style.
Oh, you know what? It looks like a movie that is, it uses a lot of dramatizations in it.
Yeah.
It's directed by Ed Perkins, starring Andrew Kiley, Alex Lewis, Marcus Lewis, who are the two brothers in real life, and Evan Milton. That, again, is going to be on Netflix. We have some really good options this week.
Yeah.
So I want to watch all of them, but not at the same week.
I do want to say the two that intrigued me the most are the first two.
Haseen Dilruba.
Haseen actually seems like a pretty good story, and I was looking at the little trailer for the IMDb.
Yeah.
It actually looked pretty good.
Let me see where this is from, because I know it's been a while since we've done a Bollywood movie.
But
yeah,
also,
it's from India. So
however you pronounce Jiro or Gyro or Hiro, that looks really good and wholesome.
Yeah.
And I'd love to watch a little documentary about sushi.
Yeah. I am torn. I'm also trying to find out how to pronounce his name. Mm-hmm. It is Jiro, but in a pronunciation I can't do because I'm a dumb American.
Got it.
But it is the hard J. I don't know.
I'm split between those two the most.
Okay.
So that at least knocks one off of my list at least. Not that the other one doesn't look good, but...
The funny thing is, Tell Me Who I Am was the one I was most intrigued with.
Oh.
But after that, it is... I also want to see Haseen Dilruba. I want to see all of them. But Jiro Dreams of Sushi is my second, so maybe we should just go with that.
If that's what you want to do.
Yeah, let's go with that. So Jiro Dreams of Sushi is going to be our assignment for next week. That, again, is on Amazon Prime. Yes.
Now, 仕事しててこの年になって完璧だとは思っていないからね。
親さんまだ悔いがあるからおかしいよ。で、せがれがかわいそうだから早く譲ってあげてって。
ずっと親さんがやっていければそれでいいんですけれども、そうはいかないですから、いつかは交代しなきゃいけないですから。そこまで頂上まで行けば完璧かもわかんないけど、じゃあこの頂上はどこかっていうとわかんないわけですよ。
抜いてやっと並んだ。そのぐらいやっぱり親父の影響ってそんなもん。
大夢だったっていうのがありますよ。こうやったらいいかなって夢でしょあれ。
Thank you, everyone, for listening. As always, you can check out our website at www.keystonefilmreview.com. On Instagram, we're Keystone_film_review. Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube, Keystone Film Review. And on Letterboxd, I am Mike, KFR.
And I'm Glen, KFR.
And that will do it until next week when we watch someone make sushi. And I'm probably not going to be not going to be hungry after watching it because I don't like sushi. But that's just me.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, I do like people that are passionate about things they are passionate about, though. Mm-hmm. And that's all that matters.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so eat some sushi. You can have mine as well.
I'm probably going to get some this weekend, honestly.
Oh, look at you. So, yes, we will talk to you next week, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye bye.
Mwah.